intriguing day here at the Isle. I, of course, am your intriguing host and chief misfit, Nancy Carmichael. And why do I keep on saying intriguing, you ask? Well, let me tell you. Today, it's all about legal intrigue and romantic entanglement. Just in time for Valentine's Day, I might add. And we've got the perfect person to take us on such an intriguing journey. Her name is Jayna Breigh, and she is an award-winning author of romantic legal dramas with over a decade of experience practicing big city law in Los Angeles. She brings authenticity to her stories, featuring characters overcoming life's toughest challenges. She's shared her insights as a speaker at women's retreats. She leads Bible studies. She's drawn to humor and inspiration and painfully cute social media. I'll have to ask her about that. And the only personal drama she indulges in, British period pieces. What more can I say? We're so excited. Welcome, Jayna, to the Isle of Misfits.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, we're so excited to have you with us today. Like I said, you, by the way, if my memory is correct, you are the very first legal drama author I believe we've had in the Isle. So that's pretty special.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
There's so much here. I want to get into the story. I want to find out, just what brought this story to be. But, I got some other questions before we even go there, because you mentioned that you like the British period pieces. So that kind of caught my attention right there. You got any favorites? We'll start here.
Yes. We'll start with the one that causes all the division in British period piece land, which is Pride and Prejudice.
Oh, do you have strong feelings?
I am strong. There are strong feelings. I like the Keira Knightley version, and I like it because I love the music. I love the lush colors, and the other one is very good. And I did a rewatch, but sadly, the production values are just not holding up as time progresses.
Okay, I will agree with you on that. So my daughter is with you. She loves the Keira Knightley version, the cinematic, just the drama, and just how beautiful it is, and the music. Yes, I'm totally with you. I think personally, I am drawn to the BBC version because it is so kind of raw and gritty, and I don't know. And Colin Firth, I don't know. And it's long, right? It's longer, so there's more drama to get drawn into. So.
Yes.
All right. Now that we've established that important piece of information, I kind of gave you a little bit of heads up. We have a tradition here in the Isle, and the tradition is we play a stupid game. So
I'm up for it.
All right, she's up for the stupid game. So all right, she's already a good sport. She doesn't even know, but we're gonna have fun with this one, because often I will make up these stupid games myself, but today our stupid game is brought to us by Buzzfeed, and the name of the stupid game is which period piece drama heroine are you? Are you ready?
Okay.
Play your stupid game.
I'm ready.
Okay, so I'm going to give you some multiple choice questions. Okay. Question number 1. What is your ideal Friday night? Is it watching a movie with your family, hanging out? That's number 1. Number 2, writing your debut novel. Number 3, playing wing woman to your best friends. Or is it on a honeymoon in Scotland with a tartaned man?
Number 1.
Number 1. All right. Watching a movie, hanging out. Gotcha. All right. Moving on. Question 2. How do your friends describe you? With fierce loyalty? Do they describe you as witty, a social butterfly, or independent?
That's a hard one. I'm going to say
could be all the above, right?
I'm going to say witty.
Witty. Okay. So actually, I like witty friends. So, all right, pick your favorite school subject: chemistry, English literature, music, or science.
English literature.
Of course. All right, now are you going to pick your dream home? Is it, so I have to describe it because there's pictures here. So is it a grand castle just a big castle, an English cottage. This one looks, I'm going to say Mr. Darcy's house, right? Or there is no dream home. The home is where the heart is.
The home is not where the heart is. It's number 3.
Okay, Darcy's house?
Darcy's
Of course. Who wouldn't want that house? It's a lot to clean. Okay, here we go. Who is your closest confidant? Your mother, your diary, your friends, or your significant other?
My significant other.
Okay. All right, we're closing in. Just a few more. What's your worst quality? Do you tend to trust the wrong people? I dare say I can be easily prejudiced, or bold of you to assume that I have a worst quality, or number 4, that I inadvertently stumble into time warps.
Okay, I don't stumble into time warps, but I know 2 people who stumble into time warps.
Really? And is that their worst quality or their best quality?
It's a quality.
It's a quality. We'll just leave it at that.
I guess, I mean, none of those apply, but I'll pick number 2. It's giving Pride and Prejudice. So I'm going to go ahead and pick
true. You're right. It's giving those vibes for sure. Okay. What quality do you value most in a romantic partner? Ambition, quick-wittedness, compassion, or being dutiful?
That's a hard one.
Yeah, I know. I want all of them.
I'm going to say dutiful, given the list that I was.
Right. Okay. All right. You know what? I respect that. I actually chose that one too. Which superpower do you want to have? Would you prefer super strength? Would you prefer omniscience, telepathy, or super healing?
Super healing.
Super healing. All right. Okay. Are you ready? Are you ready to find out?
I'm going to write this down.
I want to screenshot this and send you so you know I'm not making this up.
Okay.
Your period piece heroine is, are you ready? You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, she's ready. I'm dragging this out. You are Jane Austen. It is a truth universally acknowledged that we all wish we were as witty as you, Jane Austen, from Becoming
That's
Jane.
so funny.
Congratulations. We should have known all along. So
that's hilarious.
It is official. It is official. Okay, well, congratulations. Thanks for playing. You did an excellent job. You are Jane Austen, as if we didn't already know. So any words you'd like to say for an acceptance speech?
I'm humbled and honored to be Jane. I couldn't have done it without my family. My husband has forced me.
That's great. See, the woman is a writer. She's got it in her blood. So speaking of writing, you wrote a book, and I don't even think we've talked about the title of the book, although we've hinted at it. So the book is called An Appearance of Impropriety.
Yes.
Right. And although intrigue is not in the title, it's all over the story. So tell us a little bit, a little synopsis of this story.
Okay. So there are 2 main characters. One is a female judge named Mahalia Jackson. Her life's goal is to climb the ladder professionally. Mm-hmm. She has some internal wounds in her life, but she comes from a family of achievers and strivers who want each successive generation to be doing better than the generation before. The male protagonist is a man named Jimmy Dean Cash. He is from the mountains of North Georgia, and he escaped poverty and abuse and a family with a drug history, which is something that is prevalent sort of in the Appalachian parts of our country just because of economics and closing down of businesses, et cetera. But he used the military and then the JAG Corps and finally his own private practice to help aid widows and orphans. He felt that he could not protect his mother from the circumstances she was in, but he has pledged himself to aid widows and orphans as his life's mission.
Okay. So you got these 2 central characters. They're both overcoming something, right? They both have a story. They both have reasons for doing what they're doing. And they both want to do a really good job with what they're doing. And now they meet.
Yes.
And that's where the fun starts.
Mahalia is a judge, the youngest female jurist ever in Los Angeles County. Just for background, there's no way to verify that. So for story purposes, I got as close as I could. They don't keep ages in historical records. And she is tasked, much to her chagrin, of helping Jimmy Dean Cash on a community service project, while for some time also overseeing his case. So that is something in the law which happens all the time, actually. When I practice law, there were judges that I would appear before, and then I would go do this work on this committee for probate, estate, and trust litigation. And there'd be judges sitting there too that I might be before and have a hearing the next day with. And we want our legal system to work that way, because we want the judges and the lawyers working together to make the legal system the best it can be in terms of legislation, in terms of policies, in terms of activities and programming for the community. But let's flash forward. Let's suppose you're attracted to a judge. As I'm not giving anything away because this is a romantic legal drama.
Exactly. So we're already going there.
We're already going there. So there's some attraction, but they're also working on this project together. So that is one of the inherent tensions in the book that I shall not tell now how it resolves.
Right. No, because you got to read the book. And I'll tell you, I'm already several chapters in, and I'm in it to win it now. So this is one of those ones you don't want to put down. So let me ask you something. This is a little bit of an aside, because you talked about your own background, right? You were in the LA area, right? Yeah. You were an attorney, corporate attorney?
No, I practiced litigation.
Oh, litigation.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but with the community service project that you just referred to, you said that's a real thing. Here's my question. So attraction can kind of get in there and kind of, impact that judge-attorney relationship. But I'm just wondering, what happens when judges and attorneys hit it off as friends, and what that dynamic is like in the courtroom?
So it's a very good question. Judges and attorneys are required to disclose if there's anything which might lead to an appearance of impropriety. That is actually where the title of the book comes from. Anything that makes it look as if the judge may not be will be biased in the case, or even give a whiff of bias to the community, because you want the citizenry in general to trust the system. And if it appears that the system is rigged because judges and attorneys are working together, then that's not good, because then lay people who are coming to the court system for justice feel like they're not getting a fair shake. So there's a procedure by which, if you think the other side is getting a leg up because of some relationship with the judge, you can ask the judge to recuse, which means to sit down him or herself. There's a grammar issue in there somewhere, but you can ask them to sit down. And sometimes the judges refuse to step down, and then you can bring a motion where you bring forth evidence showing why they should step down. I will give an example of a case that my firm tried. We had opposing counsel who was next door neighbors with the judge who was trying the case. And so the judge offered to step down in that case, because that could lead to an appearance of impropriety. You're out at your mailbox talking, you're seeing each other at the potluck in front of the pool, but you're with the other side. And so we chose to let the judge stay on, but that judge said, yeah, there could be an appearance. Do you guys want me to get off? I tell you that I'm going to be impartial. I'm not going to talk to this neighbor, about the case at all. You're okay with that? We're like, okay, we're okay with that. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, and that kind of comes up. I'm a real layperson when it comes to this topic, but for juries too, right? So sometimes juries, a jurist or juror will not be picked because maybe they have some sort of bias, right? Sure. For whatever it is.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So conflict of interest. Yeah. So I imagine that comes up all the time. So there are things in place.
There are guardrails in place. That's correct.
Yeah. Okay. So now let's get back to Mahalia and JD. So this is set up. Okay. So what's going to happen, with their relationship? And, at some point, they're going to have to make some decisions. I want to talk, before we go there, though, I want to talk about, there's one more thing that they have in common. I'm not sure that we discussed yet. They both seem to have faith in common, right? They have different stories, but they both seem to have a faith in God.
Yes, they do both have a faith in God. JD was a soldier in Afghanistan, and, they call it foxhole faith. When your life is on the line, you might want to think one or two times about ultimate issues. And that was one of the things that drove him to faith. Mahalia was raised by a grandfather who was indeed a pastor, but she didn't want to necessarily live by the rules of the church. And so she had a sort of life of kind of feeling like God just wasn't giving her what she wanted. She thought she was doing what she was supposed to do, but God just wasn't paying off the way she thought he would, if she lived her life by a certain sort of internal code. So she has a little spiritual journey she's got to go through.
Right. As we all, right? So this plays into their relationship as well, because at some point they are facing, I think, to me, this seems to be one of, if not the key questions of this book, is when is it worth it to take a risk, right? So in this case, is love with JD worth the risk that it might be to her career? So I wanted to just spend some time talking about that, because I think taking a risk, right, whether it's for romantic love or whatever it is, that's a big topic.
So it's very interesting. Mahalia has in her mind, and this is in the sort of the opening chapter, so it's not a big giveaway. She's always had in her mind kind of the man of her dreams. And JD checks none of those boxes, not a one. And as she gets to know him, though, she gets to know his character. And this is also not giving anything away. It's at the very forefronted in the book that he is a man of deep integrity, of strong principles, of strong character, and he has a really, really good guiding moral compass. And so there's a lot to say in his favor, but he's not what she had in her mind.
He doesn't fit the profile.
So what do you do with that?
Yeah. So interesting. Yeah, because only moments ago, this little Jane Austen quiz that you took, that whole thing of what characters do you find most attractive? And you and I both landed on the same one, right? Because there was witty, there was charming. I don't know if handsome was in there, but dutiful, right? And it's like that. Oh, that doesn't sound sexy, but but there's something about character that really, it's like, yeah. I mean, you hope they're handsome. You want to be attracted to them, but there is something I think that we take for granted. It's like, no, this really matters, because I think all the other things fall into place.
I agree with you. And again, not to give anything away, because his character shines through, I think, from that was what I built into him as one of the protagonists. And she's got to decide is what he is offering, what she ultimately is looking for.
Yeah. And that's a big question, because first you have to know, well, what is worth risking for, right? And then what does it mean to risk, right? So and then, it's I only took one economics class and I didn't do really well in it, but I do remember this. I do remember the term opportunity cost, right? Which basically,
absolutely,
right? Basically, it's what's worth more to you.
Absolutely. So that's one of the main conflicts throughout the story is she going to hold on to her dream man, or is she going to ultimately reach out to the man who's right there in front of her? Yeah. And even that dream and that heart's desire, because we all have, we have dreams and we have desires. And sometimes what we think is our desire is really only the surface of it. Sometimes it's not that the deepest desire changes, but we begin to realize, no, it's not what I thought it was, right? It's something even better, if that makes sense. Sometimes God will give us the heart's desire we didn't even know we had, because in some ways we can be in our own way because we get this certain limited picture in our mind. Exactly. We can only see what we can see. We are not omniscient. So we don't even know all the time what's best for ourselves. So
Right. So that's Mahalia's deal. So let's talk a little bit about JD and what's going on with him.
Sure. So JD, as I mentioned before, is just driven by this strong code to protect women and children. And he runs a program called the Junior Jurors, which is at-risk youth. And that's the program that is this. It's a make-believe program. I created the program. There are mock trial programs all over the country, but situating one inside the Los Angeles courthouse is made up. But it's
right, so don't go looking for it. Don't Google
it. For it. But Mahalia ends up having to work on that program with him. JD is a workaholic because of his life's goal. He believes if he just puts in more hours, if he just grinds harder, he could save one more family. He could protect one more widow. And the way he does it is by doing trials and defeating large trucking companies, so that these families will never get their loved one back. They will never get the husband, the provider back. But at least JD can make sure there's enough money for those kids to go to college, that they can continue to keep the roof over their head, that they can get whatever sort of services they need since they've lost this loved one. And that just drives him, because he felt he did not protect his own mother. She had some dysfunction and she fell prey to domestic violence. And he was just a kid, but he took on the guilt of, I couldn't protect my mama. So.
Right. And and in some ways, in fact, I think this was something that came across in the first few chapters, like this sense of obligation to pay back, right? A debt that doesn't seem like he can ever really fully repay it, but he's going to try to repay it.
Correct.
Yeah. So you've got him on his quest. You've got Mahalia on her quest. Another element that I've picked up from her is, she's had to be tough. She's had to, to get where she's gotten. She's had to be tough and thick-skinned and no nonsense and not sentimental. And you get the sense that, okay, there's going to be some scratching under the surface there to get in touch with, with maybe some hard issues that she hasn't fully dealt with yet.
Absolutely. And in my novels, I like to have mentor characters, my Obi-Wan Kenobis, that are able to speak truth to some of the characters. I also like to have animals in my books, because people will soften themselves around animals when they might not be willing to open up around people. And sometimes animals, I don't know exactly what's going on in a cat's head, but sometimes animals are good judges of characters, and they can bring encouragement and comfort. That I think of, there was a woman in my church, her husband passed away, and she had her dogs brought her comfort. And so I believe pets can be characters. And then the Junior Jurors are another way. This whole thing is wrapping up to talk about Mahalia and how her characters changed and shaped. Also, the Junior Jurors helped change and shape her. So there's some pets, some kids.
Some kids, a handsome guy, a mentor, and some animals. Yeah, so what's really interesting about that, I've been reading this book lately, and not a novel, but just like a book about growth. And when you say it out loud, it's like, well, of course, but I'll say it anyway. Our growth never happens in a vacuum. It always happens in the context of relationship.
I see that. I can totally agree that. And even if it's, even if it's the wrong way to put it, but people have a relationship with God, that is still having a relationship. So if there's nobody else in your life, sometimes you don't have anybody else you can bounce stuff off of. Right. Your family, you may be estranged from them. But I have found personally in my own life, for example, times where it's been hard that it's just me and you, God.
Right. And that is the first and the ultimate relationship that we have. Yeah, that is paramount, that we grow in that. And even in that, that's, the growth there shows up in our other relationships, whether they're close relationships or work relationships or just, the cashier that we see every week at the grocery store. Absolutely. So, it's very hard to live, even if we feel like we're introverts. It's nearly impossible to live in total isolation.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. So I'm just so interested. So this story, I know it's rooted in your real life experience as a litigation attorney for all those years. So, but these characters, we're not outing anybody, but are they composites? Are they based on any people that you knew, or is this just all a great story that you came up with?
So there are two sort of tracks in this book. One track deals with what is called colorism, and one track deals what is classism. And so the colorism track sort of came first in my mind for several reasons. There are some things that are said to Mahalia about her complexion, the depth and the darkness of the hue of her skin, that were said to people that I know, and they gave me permission to use these comments. And so I wanted to contrast that to my own children. My children are biracial, and they're very fair. I have one child, nobody knows what she is when they look at her. I have another child that when he goes to visit the Dominican Republic for missions trips, people immediately start talking to him in Spanish.
Oh my, yeah.
Hispanic. So I wanted to address the fact that the kind of wrapper that we come in does change and modify how other people treat us. Not even intending necessarily to be unkind, but people say things that they don't even realize can be hurtful. On the flip side, I've seen with my children, I've seen that they have been privileged in some ways because of the way they look. I tell people they look like kids in a Target ad. You know, tan skin, loose curly hair. They're beautiful. And so, and that has, I think, given them some advantages in life that other people don't necessarily have because they're sort of in this category of super beautiful and exotic. So I wanted to address how external people looking at you from the outside impacts how you feel from the inside, because they're placing their perceptions on you. So that's Mahalia. That's one of the internal wounds that she deals with. JD comes from, like I said, the North Georgia mountains, a background of drugs and deprivation. And the books that popped into my mind, I read Educated by Tara Westover. She overcame extreme poverty and abuse. I think she ended up going to Harvard. I think about Dr. Ben Carson. There's so many people. I think of Up from Slavery, Booker T. Washington, how education can vault you out of your circumstances into a whole nother class, into a whole nother life. And that's why I have the junior jurors, because JD's goal is to take these kids who have, even though they're inner city poor, JD was rural poor, he wants them to have a chance. They do not have to stay in drug-infested neighborhoods. They do not have to drop out of high school. They can go to college. And he did it. He wants to show them that they can do it too.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, what's interesting in that is, when you talk about those two things, colorism and classism. So color, you can't do anything about color, right? We're born with the color that we have. So whether, black, white, Latino, Chinese, Asian, Indian, whatever. But classism, as you said, that's something that on the one hand, yes, we don't have to, especially, we're so blessed to be in a country where it is possible, where you can change your circumstance. And yet so many, this speaks to some of my background back in the day when I did a lot of home visits through family literacy programs. A lot of people really don't believe that they can change because they've lived in it generationally.
Yes. And so having a mentor that, my whole life, I practiced law, I call it big city law. I wasn't scratching away in a little one-man shop. I practiced for real in Los Angeles, but there were so many people who gave me a hand up or a good word, encouragement, pointed me in the right direction. And I come from a solidly middle-class family of college-educated parents. I'm not even first-generation college, anything like that. But you still need mentors. You need people to point you in the right direction. And so I just really, really, really wanted to bring that out because you can make a difference in somebody's life.
Yeah, right. And again, how important others are on our journey, right? That we need each other. We need those mentors. We need those encouragers. We need those people, those role models we can look at to say, okay, they did it and they came from a similar place. So maybe I can do it too.
Absolutely.
There's so much power in that. And there's also power in those people that are just saying the stupid stuff, like, making dumb remarks about our appearance or the color of our skin or whatever, the tongue, right?
It's a fire.
Yeah, it is a fire. Yeah, I'm just thinking, James, right? So JD is motivated by, caring. True religion is this, to care for the widows and the orphans. So that's James. And James is also talking about how our tongue can build up and it can tear down.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Jayna, I guess where I'd like to kind of land with this is just, we've talked about so much. We've talked about, how do we know when something is worth the risk? But how do I put this? When is it not worth the risk? And I'm not even sure if that question fully is landing and making sense, but is there any time when something's not worth the risk?
Absolutely. I would say if you are risking your, your faith. So, you, as hard as it is, conceptually, I have to be willing to be martyred for my faith. But I don't want that. You can't compromise on that. If your character and your walk in front of other people is going to lead them to stumble or to fall or bring great harm, you gotta take the hit and walk with integrity. In a relationship, since my book is a romantic legal drama, marriage is a long time. So it can be scary to commit forever. But if you meet the right one, it is worth the risk, I would say. So I don't know if I answered your question exactly, but.
No, I think it does, because I think they're two sides of the same coin, right? So we will take a risk for something that's worth it. So then we have to define, well, what's worth it? What makes something or someone worth it? And you mentioned the ultimate, for the Christian, it's, well, what is the risk that we're taking, even in our own lives? We don't lose because Jesus gave his life for us, right? So anything, what is it? I think Paul said, to live is Christ, to die is gain.
That's right.
So in that context, okay, there's really no risk that we could take that we could lose when we're choosing true love, when we're choosing the ultimate love, choosing the love of God for our lives. And that spills out into everything, romantic love, family love, the love for our children, so those risks are worth taking. So I guess the flip side of that is anything that would detract, that would do the opposite. That's maybe a risk that's not worth taking. Anything that just feeds into my selfishness or feeds into, destruction or harm that might seem like a good thing in the moment, but really is not going to have life. Maybe that's a risk not worth taking.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So where can people get this book? I have a feeling it's available anywhere books are sold, right?
It is available anywhere. Appearance of Impropriety is available at most major retailers, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Target. It's on the websites. There is an Audible book coming out in March. The date, I think, is 27th.
Nice. So do you narrate it?
No, I do not narrate it. And okay. Honestly, it's going to be a mystery to me too. So
okay, all right.
I do not know who it's going to be. I'm excited about that for those of you, because I consume the bulk of my books in audio form.
Love me a good audiobook. So
if you're like, oh, it's not out in audio, I can't get it. You wait and then go get it.
It's going to be out there. So you Audible subscribers, that's definitely worth the credit.
That's right. Because we totally have an Audible account.
Yep. So those long drives. Yep. So that's a great read, a great listen while you're taking your trip wherever you're taking. So Jayna, it's been so great having you here. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners or your audience? Anything more you want them to know about the story or about you?
Well, as I said in my bio, I'm addicted to painfully cute social media.
So that's right. We didn't even talk about that.
Please join me.
Yes.
I'm everywhere on Instagram and Facebook. It's at Jayna Breigh, Jayna Breigh. It leads you straight to me. There's no other Jayna Breigh in the United States with that name. So please join me, and I will look at your cute cat memes, because that is like catnip to me. So
okay, all right. I was gonna say, so we're gonna find some cute cat videos in your account.
There's not any cute cat videos in my account, but I will like and heart.
Okay, got it. Yes.
When I'm scrolling, I'm scrolling for that.
All right. Doom scroll away. And all right, I'm going to look you up and we're going to doom scroll together. So, Jayna, thank you so much for joining us today. And it's just been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
God bless.
Thank you.
Well, I think we all learned a few things today about the legal system, about taking risks, and maybe, just maybe, about ourselves. Oh, and speaking of, if you want to find out which period piece heroine you are, it's in the show notes. So check that out, along with all the ways to connect with Jayna Breigh. You can send her a cat meme and, of course, get her Page Turner book, An Appearance of Impropriety. And I hope you'll keep following along with us here on the Isle. You can subscribe to the pod. And if you like what you're hearing, please feel free to give us some stars. That helps us get on the map. And don't forget, you can find us on the isleofmisfits.com for more misfit fun for everyone. ISLE of misfits.com. Most of all, keep owning your awkward, keep loving your fellow misfits, and keep seeking beauty and truth everywhere. Hey, thanks for showing up and hanging out with us today. Or maybe you just kind of washed up with the tide, whatever got you here. I'm just glad you're here because you are the reason that I show up. And if today's episode encouraged you, well, maybe it'll encourage someone else out there in Misfit Land. So would you pass it on? And also, I would love if you would subscribe wherever you're listening, Apple, Spotify, wherever, and even give us a shout out with some of those stars. You know what I'm talking about. And you can find more Misfit fun for everyone at isleofmisfits.com. You can even email me if you just want to say, hey, you got a question? Nancy at isleofmisfits.com. That's ISLE of misfits.com. And most of all, let's keep our quirky community going by owning our awkward, loving our fellow misfits, and seeking beauty and truth everywhere.